Hi everyone, and welcome to Blackwood N layout. So as you will see, I have been working, or I have been removing another part of the town section. Now I've temporarily removed the platform on the other side of the Voyager unit that's sitting there. That's just to, so I don't damage any of the buildings on the platform. Now, as you can see, as I said, I have removed the Metcalf walling. Now, some of you may be questioning as to why I have removed the walling, because the walling looked absolutely fine, and that is quite correct. The walling did look fine. However, there was one part of the walling which really annoyed me, and it was the section at this end here. And if I stick a section in there, now I think if I probably zoom in, go the wrong way there, and come round, what you'll notice is that section of walling obviously sits higher than the pavement, which is absolutely fine, because obviously the retaining wall has to run from ground level right up, and also has to give a retaining wall along the pavement, so that obviously pedestrians wouldn't be able to fall over the edge. Now the issue with this wall was the fact that obviously the road runs at a very gentle slope from this end here where the red car is, right up along here to the opposite end where the National Express bus is. So if I move the walling and stick it to this end here, what you should now see is that the wall is obviously below pavement level. Now the way in which the wall was constructed the last time was that I first of all cut or laminated card to be the correct height from ground level, up down there, right up to the pavement, and obviously it carried on higher than the pavement, obviously to give the retaining wall on the pavement side. Now that was fine, and that ran all the way down, as I say, back to this end here. The problem was that the retaining wall that sat in front of that, I had not altered the height of the retaining wall. It should have been dropped in height, which I did not do, which meant that when you looked at the wall from inside the layout, if I was standing at the control panel and I looked at the retaining wall, it looked absolutely fine. So from the pavement side, it looked absolutely fine. It was the same height from one end of the pavement to the other end. But when you looked at the retaining wall at this end, it did look as though, or it gave an illusion that the retaining wall wasn't actually high enough, because as the wall sloped down, the Metcalf retaining wall sections didn't slope down. They maintained their same height. Now if I put in, it's kind of difficult to explain, so if I put in, what I've done is I've actually cut a new base retaining wall. Now I've actually used, rather than use laminate, because I've got some 2.5mm plywood left, I used the old retaining wall as a template, and I've actually cut in a new retaining wall. Now as you'll see here, the retaining wall's in, and as you can see, it runs obviously from base level and up and above the pavement. And if I put this section in here, the point to look at is the distance between the top of the retaining wall and the top of this wall here. As you can see, it's very narrow. However, if I take this out here and I spin it around and I put this in here, what you'll see is there is a much larger height difference from here to here. And that was the problem. It looked absolutely fine at this end, but as this wall carried on, because this wall didn't go down in height, step down in height, it meant that when you got to the opposite end, you only had a gap like that. And that gave you the impression that this wall wasn't the right height, when in actual fact it was. So that's the reason I have removed the wall. I've managed to salvage the actual wall sections themselves. I have had to buy a new kit because I will now need to build the retaining sections which go in between the wall. I will bring one in here which is obviously quite badly damaged, but they obviously sit in between each wall section, and in actual fact I have reduced these in height because that was the other problem, in that they actually came to the top of this wall here, and that made it quite difficult to get a wall cap running along the wall correctly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to cover this part of the wall here with some Metcalfe brick paper. Now this here is the M2 style of cut stone. I've actually, well, I wasn't aware until I went to the model shop yesterday. Metcalfe also do the M1 stone style, which is slightly smaller stones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the M1 style stones here. Those will go back in here, and the columns, instead of coming right to the top, they're actually going to finish just round about, just slightly above there. And on the other side here, the side that you can't see, again it will be the M1 stone. And as I come along here, the first 4 sections don't need to be altered because there's hardly any drop in the height of the road. But as I go further along, I will construct new Metcalfe sections, but they will be dropped in height, so that this height here that you see from the top of the retaining wall to the top of this section of the wall more or less is the same all the way along. That is the plan, and we'll see whether or not it comes to fruition. So I'm going to get on with that just now, and we'll come back and hopefully you'll actually see what I'm talking about. Right, I have completed the first part of the rebuild. So the plywood has now been covered with the M1 style of cut stone from Metcalfe. Now the stone is obviously been put on the other side as well, on this side here that you can't actually see, and I've put in one of the walling sections. Now this is probably demonstrates the problem that, or the issue that I had. If you look at this walling section here, and you look at the top of the walling section, you look at the gap from the top here to the top of this wall here, you'll see it is very, very narrow. If I come up to the other end, you'll see that it is about double the length, or double the height in terms of the gap from the top of the walling section here to the top of the wall here. So what I now need to do is the first 4 sections of walling that come along this side more or less have the same height difference, which is fine. You'll see there's been a cutout made here. Now that is to carry the bridge that comes across to the platform that I've removed and the lift shaft. So essentially from this point here to the end, I don't really need to make any changes to the actual height of the walling. But from this side here back along to this end here, I actually need to reduce these wall sections. Now I'm not sure whether or not I'll be able to reduce the actual sections that are built. I have got another kit, so I may have to actually make the walls completely new. Time will tell. So what I'll do is I'll get on with that, and I'll come back and hopefully show you what this wall looks like once it's complete. So I have made some progress. As you can see, I have reinstated the arched walling, and as you can see again, I've reduced the height of the support piers. If I come along here, you'll see there I put in some of the old sections just to show you the difference in the height. So it's, the height has been reduced. Obviously these sections here are not fixed in, these all have to come back out and be sorted. But as you can see along this section here, they're all actually fixed in, and along the top will simply be the same capping stone. If I actually pick that up there, so that's the way it's going to look when it's finished off. But yep, that's coming along. As you can see along the bottom, there are some slight gaps. The baseboard's not 100% level. There is a very slight dip that's always been in this baseboard for some reason. I don't know why, but you won't see those gaps because obviously the ballast will be put back in, so that won't ever be seen. But as you can see, I'm making progress back along this wall here. So I'll carry on and show you what it's like once it's finished. Right, so a number of days have actually elapsed since I last filmed this wall, and I've obviously been working away. So the wall is almost finished. I have completed all the retaining wall sections. They're all in right the way along, and if we come right to the far end, you can now see that there is a much bigger depth in terms of the gap from the top of the capping stone here to the top of this wall. Before it was very narrow, and it did look as though the wall wasn't the right height, but it now is more or less the same height in terms of the gap from here to the top of the wall right the way along to the other end. So all that remains for me to do now is the section of wall. It actually does pull out because it's not been stuck in, so I can actually, as I say, bring that out. It's just on, as I say, the plywood. If I turn it over, if I try to do this one-handed, you can see that the back's obviously been done with the same brick paper. If I bring that down, obviously it doesn't need to go all the way down to the bottom. And if I swing this back in, it will just simply, the whole section will simply be glued back on to the backing wall there, and that's that wall now finally completed. So one last bit of work to be done to this retaining wall is to put in the lift tower and the small bridge that goes across from the main road to allow the post office to deliver mail into this mail siding. And as you can see, as I've come round here, I've actually constructed the lift shaft. Very simple. It's actually just 4 sections of card. There's been a section cut out at the bottom with a Metcalf door from an old kit that I found, which does look like sort of industrial lift doors. And again, I've managed to source I'm part of a Metcalf kit that I hadn't used, and obviously put the bridge section across there. So that is this bit of the wall, as I say, rebuilt. I've also put, obviously you can see the capping stones are right the way along the top, apart from this small section just at the very end here. But I think if I come back out and you can see the wall in the entirety, you can now see that the height difference from the top of the Metcalf arched retaining wall to the top of the retaining wall at the pavement is the same height all the way along. I've been able to step the wall down, and the best thing is I didn't need to use any new sections of Metcalf walling. I was able to actually recover every one, and the actual pillar stanchions in between, I was actually able to repurpose them. I didn't have to use or build any new ones. I was able to repair them. In some cases I had to put a little bit of Metcalf brick paper on, but they are now all in actual fact fixed. So I hope everybody has a fantastic new year, and I hope Santa's been good to everybody, and hope you all got Christmas presents that you were looking for. I know I certainly did, in terms of what I got for the railway. So I'll end the video here because I think that's probably long enough, and I'll catch you all in the next video. So I shall see you soon, hopefully. Bye.